I assume you knew what you were clicking on when you clicked over to this video, but yeah, this video is about rubbish.
The wacky world of MultimediaJay.
Alright, that's enough playing around with the brass knuckles light. I might be embellishing things a bit there with calling something like this that, but that's kind of what it is. Like, shh. Alright, let's turn this thing off and be done with it then. So today, it's all about rubbish. What is rubbish? An Acer netbook. And, well, it basically is about as netbooky as it gets. This was my birthday present 10 years ago. So, and I have tried, and I have tried, and I have tried to find some kind of intelligent use for this thing. But the truth of the matter is that with netbooks, the deck has been stacked against them from the very beginning. For those of you who may not be familiar with netbooks, netbooks were the ancestor of the Ultrabook. They basically were a small form of laptop that didn't have a CD drive, and power was sacrificed in the name of battery life with these things. As you can imagine, Ultrabooks made these things obsolete because, well, you could have power and good battery life at the same time with an Ultrabook. But with netbooks, that wasn't the case. Laptops at the time of the netbook in the late 2000s were basically devices with like 3 hours of battery life, you know, if you got a good one, and CD-ROM drives and all kinds of other stuff, and just nah. Laptops were kind of split into two types of devices. You had the desktop replacement netbooks made by companies like Acer that had like horrible battery life, like 1 to 2 hours tops, but they had all the performance of a desktop. So it's basically a desktop that you could transport from place to place, set it on a desk, and use it on AC at multiple different places. Great for college students in my day. And then there was the Intel Centrino ultra portable style books that were trying to emphasize battery life, but at the cost of performance. Netbooks took that a step further. It was kind of wild at the time when a lot of software was still coming on CDs to completely forego any kind of optical drive in a netbook, or in a laptop. But that's what netbooks did. And so time and again, when watching shows of like Hack 5 and stuff back then, I noticed Darren Kitchen and the folks constantly using terminal programs on these or other, you know, low-end computing things to do lightweight computer tasks. And when this thing came along with its AMD C-Series APU, old school dual core, 1 gigahertz, this thing was a total waste. It even still had mechanical drive. I tried putting an SSD in it. It was a waste of an SSD. This thing is, has always been, and always will be slow. Just to give you an idea, in 2015, this thing couldn't even handle Shovel Knight at 720p. It couldn't even play Shovel Knight, a 2D retro-style game, at a smooth frame rate. This thing has totally earned its name. I initially called it the crap book because it was crap and it was a netbook. But I think there will never be another computer that truly deserves the title of rubbish.
Epic fail.
So despite all that roasting of this poor netbook, I'm here today to say that I finally found a use for rubbish. It only took me 10 years of going against the grain, swimming against the tide, trying to use a netbook for more than what netbooks are traditionally used for. The future of rubbish is as a service laptop. For things like logging into routers and switches, it'll be the perfect companion when troubleshooting things here and there, and I need a small laptop that can fit into little tiny spaces or what have you, and don't want to use a mobile device. But before we continue saying all these grandiose plans, how about we see if this thing still works? If it's anything like the turd Shiba, it'll be like, critical battery, and then it'll shut down. Acer. What's this? No bootable device. Insert boot disk and press any key. Oh, we're off to a rip-roaring start. So the ADATA SSD in this thing is still working, or it still registers, but it's not bootable. Oh man, did we kill the SSD in this thing? I know it's a waste of an SSD, but I didn't mean literally. So I did some digging, and, well, right, I can't really figure out what the heck I did with this last. Went looking around the channel. The last video that I was able to find was from December of 2019, so it's been a while. But there's this memory, whatever it is, floating in the back of my head, that somewhere along the line I left the computer completely blanked out, because I was like, heck with this, I'm not doing anything with it. Can't remember whether it was rubbish or not. But either way, one of two things has happened. Either I left this thing blanked out, and, you know, it's basically got to get it going again, or it's been sitting unplugged for so long that the SSD ran out of charge and nuked itself. It still detects, though, so let's see if we can reinstall Windows on it. Fire this poor thing up here. First, how do I get it to boot off of the USB? It's from 2012. It might be expecting a hard drive, although I think I have gotten it to work off of USB before. I think it's the SD card that I couldn't figure out here. Alright, howdy folks. Alright, you got something to boot off of, rubbish. Let's see ya do something, or are you just gonna live up to your name as usual? Where's the... I need 2 fingers to brighten up the screen. Hold on. English United States, yeah. Install. Setup is starting. Let's see, well, it'd be better if I started with a fresh install of Windows anyways. Less patches I'd have to download and stuff like that. Plus we can fire up the Delosaurus to get any other critical stuff that requires access to the internet and just sneakernet it over on the USB stick. Or do something along those lines. Alright, this is rubbish, so things are going to take a while. I want to see what shows up for a partition on this thing. Drive 0, unallocated space. So I either wiped out all the partitions on rubbish and just left it blank, or this thing's been unplugged for so long and the battery went dead and the SSD completely lost its charge and went blank. One of those two. Regardless, we'll figure it out by finding out if the installation of Windows stays on rubbish after we finish getting it set up. How long that's going to take, who knows. Dual core, 1 GHz, AMD C-Series APU from 2012, an end-of-life AMD processor. This thing was end-of-life, well, the turd Shiba is like leaps and bounds ahead of this, and we know how sad the turd Shiba's getting these days. Meanwhile, about 30 watts power draw full blast. And that was, I mean, I remember when I thought that a low-power laptop like this with like 5 hours of battery life was awesome, but you had to sacrifice a lot of performance to get that. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the essence of the netbook. Sacrifice performance for battery life and the ability to have a cutesy little computer that you can plug in and do stuff with, like run terminals and stuff. Well then, this could take a while, especially since this old netbook only has USB 2 ports. So I'm going to leave it to do its thing. Previously, I was like, oh, and now it's the next night. This time I'm doing it on purpose. Let's get some sleep. I shut everything off for the night. It finishes installing Windows. How's that for zero luck whatsoever? Oh, man. Alright, well, how long is it going to take this? Well, it's rubbish. Of course it's going to take its sweet old time. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Looks like it's keeping the installation, though. I might have just blanked this out and left it somewhere, because I didn't plan on using it for a long time. So the last time I talked about this, I talked about the idea of it being a service laptop. I just talked about the project area and stuff. So we're looking here at, you know, basic security software, a little bit of security software, and a web browser. Not really much in terms of software on this thing. It's mostly going to be used for like remoting into routers or something like that, or if I need a computer in a pinch. But there's really isn't much that something like this can do that a mobile device can't already do on its own. It's a different world we live in nowadays. It's part of what made netbooks obsolete. Getting ready, getting ready, getting ready, getting ready, getting ready. This netbook is like a high-maintenance girlfriend, taking forever to get ready. Well, I'm not playing this game. Let's get some sleep and let it just charge its battery or something. Well then, this thing didn't cook itself.
Please don't turn off your device.
Oh, I won't. Believe me, I won't. But you can tell how slow it is by how choppy the swirly circle thingy is. Yeah, that's why Rubbish is just going to run some light stuff here and there and be able to remote into things. And very limited software. It's the most that it can do.
Okay, we got through this part of setup.
Indeed we did. When next we meet, Windows will be up and running. I cannot believe that I've just spent a day getting everything up and running on this thing. Or in night shift terms, an entire night. A day. And several hours of that day was spent troubleshooting the Wi-Fi on this thing, the wireless radio, that was bugging out and not connecting to my recently renovated network. Well, I suppose if Rubbish is being rubbish, I shouldn't be surprised. But this netbook shouldn't be living up to its name that much. Yikes. Well, it is a 10-year-old netbook, so I shouldn't expect much from it. But seriously, this? A day? Or in night shift terms, a whole night? Well then, see you tomorrow. Or, again, in night shift terms, later today. Just rubbish being what it is. Rubbish!
Epic fail.
Well, it's afternoon. The neighborhood is still a little noisy, so hopefully it's not too noisy for you folks' taste. I'm doing everything completely wrong by not streaming when I have the noise blockers earlier in the day and doing videos later at night. But first off, the Wii U, I don't really need that thing for the controller anymore. I just use the charge base to prop it up and charge it. The other thing is perfect for this AMD Athlon processor, being able to basically sit in an angle and not teeter-totter and fall over. It's like I'm sure a business card holder could do the exact same thing, but I already had this sitting around. There we go. I wanted the Athlon processor to kind of be like a centerpiece of my tech tinkering over here. Alright, it's rubbish time. Let's see. Come on, start, you piece of crap. With your blinking red light because the battery's 10 years old. Doesn't even still hold a charge. Come on, you can do it. Dun, 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 dun. Remember, it took a day to have this thing churn through all its updates and get some very basic software installed via Ninite, as well as some benchmarks that we're going to run. I've already run benchmarks on Novabench and UserBenchmark for this thing, though. So it's not going to be anything earth-shattering. What the? Oh, finally. So you see why I'm retiring this to just being something where I'll like remote into a router or something, or in some other way use this for utility purposes. Heck, for all I know, it probably has only 10100. Hey, I hear motorcycles. Totally should not be doing this during the day. Totally a reason why I work night shift these days. Finally! Let's get logged in. Solid blue. Grind, grind, grind. That's why I call this thing a waste of an SSD. Using an SSD in this thing is as bad as using a hard drive in an older system. 100% solid, even though it's turboing to 1.2 gigahertz on its piddly little 2 cores. Yes, it's a netbook. Yes, it was originally built for Windows 7. But Windows 10 was supposed to be easier on the resources than prior versions of Windows. So, alright, when is this thing going to stop grinding? Because that'll be probably the best time to try running stuff when it's not spending however many minutes it spends starting up. Like I said, there used to be bad hard drive computers that were like this. The drive, Pentium 2 days, that's how far back we're going. Just grind, grind, grind. What a piece of crap, man. Now, this is the way it used to be back in like the Pentium 2, Pentium 1 days when those machines started getting old. Turn it on, you pretty much couldn't count on doing anything on your computer at any decent speed for like 10-15 minutes. And that was with a mechanical drive in the 90s. This is technically a 2010 system. Oh, hi, Glary. Thanks for checking for updates for the umpteenth time. Probably part of the reason why my CPU chart is solid blue. Whatever.
Epic fail.
TJ Maxx. Okay, that's a dated reference to the tune of generations at this point. Yeah, 115 degrees, so even when it cooks itself up to 85 degrees Celsius and stuff, then, yeah. It's still, you know, not in danger of... Maybe it isn't thermal throttling, maybe it just sucks. That could be, you know, it's like... Oh, man, look at those CPU speeds, 1.3 gigahertz. Hey, if we have some thermal headroom, overclock this? No, I just think it'd be a waste to put this thing... Might as well just let it do its thing. Look, I'm seeing a few dips below 100%. When they consistently stay below 100%, we shall proceed. It's probably picking up Windows updates and crap because it's been off all night. Thought it was done with the Windows updates. Alright, when this becomes more common, we shall continue. Finally! But if we look at the uptime thing here, like I said, it's running like an old Pentium 2 machine that grinds for 10 minutes when you first turn it on. Nearly 10 minutes of uptime and... Oh, wait, okay. Finally, we're getting some free CPU cycles. So, when you consider the specifications of this machine, though, dual core, 1 gigahertz, and 4 gigs of RAM. This netbook is basically a mobile device trying to run Windows 10 these days. That makes it an interesting candidate for something like Android x86, like what I did a few years ago. Maybe we can see if that OS has improved since then, since we're never going to have more than a basic Windows 10 template for this thing. But it is essentially a mobile device at this point in terms of its hardware capabilities. 10 years old, and it's a mobile device with a built-in keyboard. Windows might be a little too heavy for it. But now that it finally has some free CPU cycles, let's try out some Novabench and some UserBenchmark, and just compare it to the scores we got a few years ago. Really basic stuff installed on this thing with a basic Ninite installer, but specific to this one is the Xeris Wi-Fi inspector for checking out any wireless issues and rogue devices and stuff like that, as well as Putty. I think I'll experiment with Putty as a template thing and whatnot. Woo, motorcycle! So, it's a great day to go for a ride, what can I say? Alright, let's fire up some Novabench. Turn down the lights for our little exhibition of Novabench here. This got 200 something the last time, but that was with Novabench 4. Everything's been recalibrated to support newer processors and stuff nowadays, so it's probably going to be even lower if it even finishes. So... Hey, your background CPU's a little high. Yeah, you think? I got news for you, Novabench. That ain't the background CPU. Alright, targeted tests for the CPU. What's that ding for? Actually, it was either this... No, it was UserBenchmark that had the other thing. About 1 minute remaining. Oh, the sad part is these might actually... General purpose. Yeah, this might be a little boring. But it gets a little more interesting, like around the graphics tests. We'll come back. Might take a while to get there, too. 3D graphics tests, and it actually had some load time. It's gonna try and do the full... It's gonna try and do full screen? Oh yeah, no, that's what I figured. 720p window, and this is 1366 by 768 for a panel, so it's going to take up most of the screen. Alright, 30, 17, 13, 10, 8, 7, 6, 5. Might as well do a countdown on the 4 frames per second. Oh man, 3, 2, no. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. Whoever these people are driving around on the motorcycles outside are probably having more fun than this computer is right now. Woo! Yeah! Oh. Oh yeah, we're done. 317, key numbers 65, 103, 99, and 50. So, the read and write speed on that SSD not benefiting from being an SSD. Serial ATA SSDs should be closer to 500 megabytes per second, but this thing doesn't have the CPU. A modern hard drive could get those numbers. So, again, waste of an SSD, and now we have hard evidence that that is a waste of an SSD. Let's go compare to the stuff I have saved on Novabench.com to see what changed. I'd have to sign in to get this thing uploaded to add to it, so maybe some other time. Yeah, I thought so. There was a lot of stuff running in the background, and the disk was pretty tied up at the time. But the CPU score has actually dropped since then. Disk score 9, only 22 megabytes per second write speed. That's about as bad as an SD card. There was probably a lot of stuff running in the background when I ran this, so I'll find a way to sign into this and upload the results to add it in so we can have more recent rubbish numbers on there. Alright, now while we're over here, let's take a look at what it did for UserBenchmark. Close that Avast pop-up. Yes, I know I have a card reader Avast. You don't have to remind me every other hour. So last time it was tree trunk, surfboard, tree trunk. Just, well, rubbish. Hence the name. Can't blame the computer if it's living up to its name. Oh, that score's from way back when it ran Windows 7. That could have been a hard drive. Yeah, maybe I should upload the newer results. Well, that was fun. Unfortunately, Novabench has some work to do on their new setup, because they think this is from 2016 to 2017. It isn't. It's a netbook from 2012, so it's a low-end netbook from 2012. So of course it's going to be so horribly terrible and blah blah blah. Down 71% versus the average score from the era. Part performance. Oh, look, CPU percentile, 62nd percent, and it's comparing it to an i5 9600K or Ryzen 5 3500 with an RTX 2070 Super or Radeon RX 5700 XT. Work on your comparisons, Novabench. There is no reason why a netbook from 2012, creaky chair or not, should be taken seriously versus pretty much any hardware from the mid-2010s. This is from the early 2010s, and it was designed to be low-end on purpose. User benchmark time. That arcade game that's part of the tests should be particularly interesting for that one. Waste of an SSD or not, the fun part about all of this terrible system, is that once it's up and running and done downloading a bazillion updates, it actually is okay to use. Some things are just slower than most, but you get what you're essentially running here when it's a netbook. Alright. Let's see how user benchmark goes. When the benchmark's complete, a report will open in your default web browser. Oh, unfortunately, that's probably going to be Microsoft Edge on this thing. I haven't set up Chrome as the default yet. Rubbish versus... Crash! 0.7 FPS, and then there's the blocks slideshow. 1 frame per second result on that. Alright, and come on, you can load the next one. This is the spinning disc thing. 2 pictures. Okay, a 2 pictures slideshow. 0.7 FPS. The next one is like the dot going through the stuff, right? We'll see the beginning of it, right? You know, but that's about it. To that. Oh man. Alright, get the mouse ready. Swarm, that is what? That is... Are we gonna have to do that stupid game again? Hey, look, a still picture. And it's done. Alright, where's the... Where's the thing where we play the game? Okay, here, 2, 3, 4. 4 frames of that. Skill bench. Okay, let's see. I got input lag on a mouse. Oh, this is gonna be so terrible. No, this is so horrible. I'm actually having... It's not drawing the projectiles because it can't draw the screen fast enough. So I'm actually having problems with display. Yeah, this is like playing on a really bad, really slow TV. Except it's a really slow computer. Oh, man. Yeah, average frame per second was like 22. No, the lowest 15-ish. No, lowest was 10 frames per second. Please, no, I don't want to play this again. It's like playing on a slow display. I guess I flunked skill bench, but then again, this is rubbish. Alright, what do we get for numbers? Tree trunk, surfboard, tree trunk, right? Just go full screen on this puppy. Tree trunk, surfboard, tree trunk. Woo! 2, 17, 2 versus 2, 24, 2. I guess I shouldn't be surprised when rubbish magically finds a way to get worse over time.
Warning, suboptimal background CPU at 11%. The accuracy might get thrown off if the background CPU was too high.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, UserBenchmark, but the better numbers on the older test in 2020 were with 100% background CPU. This thing just can't run out of ways to get worse over the years. Hence its retirement to just being a service laptop that or netbook, I should say, that just runs terminals and other super lightweight crap like that.
Epic fail.
What's even sadder is that this piece of junk is so known for being slow that the keyboard is practically mint, because I've barely used it. I originally picked this thing up for something like, you know, with its then awesome 5-hour battery life. Woo! Rev that son of a... It's probably a better day to go for a ride on a motorcycle than it is to, you know, do this, torture this poor old thing like this. But those benchmarks are probably the most CPU-intensive things that I'm going to be doing on this. I'm telling you, those motorcycle guys are probably having more fun than I am at this point, because this is definitely the dullest, slowest machine that I have. And I know some of you are probably going to be like, dude, put Android x86 on it. I think Android x86 would be better off with the turd Shiba than this thing. And we know the turd Shiba has lots of problems. But at least it has a little bit of CPU, maybe, if we can fix its thermal issues. This thing, however, has literally no redeeming qualities. Even years ago, when it was getting better benchmarks, it couldn't even run Shovel Knight, of all games, at a solid 60 FPS. And that was a 2D game. This thing could probably find a way to stutter with Windows 3D Pinball. So let's give it a little, let's put it out to pasture. And let's watch it be a little bit of work even to shut down. Ready? Alright, shut down, shut off the lights, kick back, relax. Da-da-da-da-da. Come on, you can do it. You're shutting down now. You're not doing anything, you know, intense. Am I still sitting here like a moron trying to talk to fill in the time while this thing's still shutting down? Finally! The light goes off, the battery light starts blinking red because, hey, you got a 10-year-old battery in this thing! And this thing can go back to relaxing. Like, the motorcycle guys are having more fun than this thing is. I can assure you of that. Well then, that retires rubbish after 10 years of fruitlessly trying to find something more to do with it than stuff that netbooks traditionally do, which is very lightweight stuff. Well, hey, you know, you get what you pay for and you get what you buy. They got nice loud motorcycles because it's a beautiful day outside. I have a piece of junk that has never been anything more than a piece of junk because that's all it was ever designed to be back in the 2000s going into the 2010s. Little wonder netbooks are dead and ultrabooks just blasted them right off the map. There are computers this size that you can get nowadays. Where's the other light? I'll just do this. There are computers about this size that you can get these days that are laptops, but I assure you, the processing power they have firmly puts them outside of the netbook camp. It's just a small ultrabook. Netbooks are gone. They are dead and buried for a reason, and I think we should respect that. Okay, enough monologues for now, don't you think? Unless another motorcycle goes by. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.
Rubbish!